What is up, Retromaniacs? My name is Mike. His name's Joe. His name's EP, and we're here to talk about cards. Specifically, we're here to talk about the 5 dumbest things that card collectors do. The 3 of us, we do some dumb things every now and then.
Whoa.
Some of us more than others. I'm not going to name names.
Guilty.
But it's just the way the hobby is. But we're going to make fun of 5 of them today because some of these things are more dumb than others. And I'm going to get to the list. The first thing we have on our list that we think is really dumb that collectors do: ripping wax, expecting to make money. Now, this might be a little ironic coming from a guy who has a series saying, can you make a profit ripping retail? But I know that you can't. That's the whole point of my series. The point of my series is to show what a normal person opening wax will actually get and how much they'll actually lose over time, instead of some YouTubers that'll show you great boxes. They'll open 10 and they'll show you the one that got something good. There's a lot of stuff out there that makes people feel like, oh, I can buy that and make money on it. It's a dumb thing to do, though, because you're probably not going to make it. And some people lose a lot of money doing this. So, Joe, why do they keep buying wax thinking they're going to make money?
It's tale as old as time, man. They're trying that big hit. They're trying to gamble. They're trying to, like you said, oh, I saw someone else do it, I can do it too. No, chances are you probably can't. And when we were texting about this morning, when we were texting about this Sunday morning, I said, well, I don't know if people do think this anymore. And Mike, you made the good point. It's like, well, no, there are definitely some people who still do. And that makes it even worse because there's so much information out there that's telling you there is a good chance you're not going to. One of our favorite channels, Silver Sport, check out our 8 questions with them. But the point that Ed made when saying about what he would love to open a case of was Prism. And he said, but there's probably maybe one box in that case where you'll make your money back. And the rest of them, you're just, on the box, not on the case, on the box. And the rest of them, you're really taking a hit across the face. So, I can't believe people still do this, but there are people who still do this, think they can make a profit, all for that big hit.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is driven by social media, right? Like the people, like you said, Mike. People see this stuff on social media. They see somebody getting this big hit, and think, "Oh, I can get that CJ Stroud downtown, or I can get whatever the dual autograph of what was it? 1 of 2. There's another one out there. I can get that one. Like, but the chances of actually getting that stuff though is so, like, they are printing millions of base cards, and so and packaging them in these cases and stuff. So to be able to actually get these big hits, it's the odds are astronomical. But that's not stopping, as Joe said, not stopping people because of that gambling mentality. They think they need to get it. But the bottom line is, it's not like it was back when a box of Bowman baseball cost $50 and they guaranteed the $50 of value.
$50.
Right? Because you also got like 3 times the amount of cards you get now in a box. So individually alone, they're probably at a penny a card or 10 cents a card or 25 cents a card. You could probably make your money back then. It's a very different situation now. We're talking $500 a box and $300 a box and $400 a box for way less cards. $1,000 a box. Right. Yeah.
I do want to say one thing real quick. Our buddy Spidey Hits, whenever he rips open a box of cards, he says, after the seal's broken, the value's gone. The only thing guaranteed is a good time. Right? That's kind of how you have to think about it when you're opening on wax. You have to think of it as entertainment, paying to go to the movies. Instead, you're paying to open up some cards.
Yeah, and all joking aside, like, there is a lot of false expectation put on people from social media. It's very easy. Nobody shows you when they don't get anything. Everybody shows you if they hit. So everybody wants to see, oh, he pulled the 101 of so-and-so out of that. And, oh, this is great stuff because I opened 1 box and I got lucky. And you're not seeing all the people that opened 1 box and got a horrible box. They're not going to Twitter. They're not going to Facebook. They're not going to Instagram. They're not going to YouTube to let you know they got a crappy box. And it does really build a false sense of expectation. And with like the addictive personalities some of people have in this hobby, it's gambling. It's no different than going, oh, I have a good feeling on this game. They're going to cover the spread, or I'm really, this is the hand I'm going to win here at the casino, or, oh, that slot machine's calling to me. You hear all this stuff. And it's the same thing with cards. Like Joe said, if you like to open wax to rip it to have fun, I'm not saying you should never open it. You absolutely should. But if you're doing it because you think you're going to make money, or you're putting it on a credit card, like, well, if I buy 5 of these on my credit card, I'll get enough to pay that and then make some back. Don't do that. Just don't do that.
Don't put the hobby on a credit card, folks. We say it all the time.
Unless you're Ed from Silver Sport.
I was one last point about Ed. Go watch Silver Sport.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because
Good
they
lessons.
do not show just the hits. They are showing some crap boxes.
And that's why they're a great channel, because they show you what you actually get.
And they don't go boom on a card that's worth $10. They realize it's crap at the time. So
there are a lot of fake people that create content. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. The second thing on our list of things, dumb things that we'll say some collectors do. They buy bad autographs. They buy autographs that have smudges. They're off the sticker. They're maybe George Pickens. They're streaky. They're faded. They buy bad autographs. Joe, this is a big one for you. You're an autograph collector. Just got a big Star Trek autograph card you showed us, and the autographs on that looked beautiful.
Yes, and I actually passed on a couple that were cheaper that looked worse. This one, we were talking about maybe doing a series on things we just don't understand about the hobby. This one fits in there as well. I just don't get how someone can buy a card. By the way, if stickers are your thing, have at it, man. But still, this is applicable to that as well. If people are going off the sticker, Adrian Peterson is the worst one I think I've ever seen. It is like watching an EKG with his autograph, and he goes off the sticker pretty much every time. And the folks that do that, the ARs with the little mini autographs, and some people don't care. It's an autograph card. It doesn't matter. That bothers me so much, because if you're buying an autograph, the whole point, I don't care if the corners are dinged on the card. I don't care, hell, if the card's creased or off-centered. For me, it's the autograph. If you're going to buy an autograph card, buy the autograph. Don't buy the label, buy the grade, don't buy the grade on the card, kind of same mentality. Don't just buy a card because it's an autograph of this player. Actually buy a good autograph of this player. I implore you.
This is a good litmus test, I feel like, where it's like, tell me you're not a collector without telling me you're not a collector, right? Because if you care about the card, if you want to own that card, you're going to want to have a good autograph on it. If you're just buying it to then resell it, or or whatever, you're worried about the grade on the card as opposed to the auto. You're worried about all these other things that instead of the actual auto on the card, which is that. I mean, for those of us that were in the hobby back when they first started putting autograph cards in packs, like it's a big deal. It's still a big deal when you pull an autograph card for us. So if you have a specific player that you are going after and you want that autograph, like, you're going to make sure that autograph is good. And if you're not, you're just looking for an investment.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of newer collectors defend a lot of the newer autographs that you can tell they just don't put any time into. And I get it. Some people are in it just for the dollar amounts. What's my card worth? Doesn't make any difference. But for a true collector, it does. Somebody at some point is going to, maybe 20 years from now, look back at that autograph of a player that they watched the whole career. They might have had a Hall of Fame career. Maybe they were their favorite player. And they're going to look at that and go, boy, I wish you would have signed that better. So this is old people talking here, maybe, but we do have a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of, hindsight about the hobby, because we've been in this spot for a long time. Someday, even if you don't think so now, you might wish it was a little better. So maybe just take a little bit more time and pick out a better autograph. Some are out there. So like George Pickens, no, you're not going to find any, but
right.
All right. The third thing that we see collectors do, we think stupid, is, and this one's a good one. I see this a lot of times. If you sell on eBay, you have definitely seen this, but people who will bid on a card on auction on eBay and end up winning it for way more than they could have bought it for on a buy it now. If you're bidding on a card on eBay, search that card and look for buy it now auctions and set yourself a limit of what you're going to bid. Because if you could get the same exact card for cheaper just buying it, why are you bidding? People just get caught up in that, oh, I'm going to win this. I got to win it. And you get two people to do that. You have people spending like 1.5x what they could have bought the card for on a buy it now. I've had that. I know as a seller, I've looked at completed auctions. I'm like, how did 5 of these cards sell for more than what I have mine listed for in the last week? But happens a lot.
And just like you said, Mike, it's just people getting caught up in the moment, and they don't have the wherewithal to go and just search for that card. That's part of it. I think the laziness of not searching for the card in other buying possibilities, because everyone just assumes, and for the most part, it's kind of true. I say this all the time. I think we all do. As a seller, I'm listing my card as a buy it now. For a buyer, I'm looking for auctions because you can generally get them less. But that's not always the case. So you have to be smart about going and seeing, like you said, Mike, what kind of limit you want to set at pushing this auction to a certain number. If you can just, and I've seen this happen with Star Trek cards, where an auction will go like super high, and then I'll look at the same exact card that's listed at buy it now, and that'll be sold within minutes, because then the person that lost goes to the buy it now, and because they were trying to get it cheaper.
I've done
that's
that.
how it starts. Yeah. And I think that's where it starts. They think in their heads, I can get this cheaper because it's an auction. Auctions are always cheaper than buy it nows. And then they get caught into the, I gotta win. And they just every sense of I don't know, good what's a good way?
Common sense.
Common sense. Yeah, that's I didn't have the common sense to think of common sense. But every sort of judgment, that's what I was looking for. Like all your judgments just go out the window at that point, because you are just stuck on this train. I got to win this card.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head right there. I was going to say, like people want to win. Like I drove back from Philadelphia a couple of days ago, and like on Friday, and and the number of people who like pass you and then get in front of you and slow down. And that drives me insane. Like, why? You passed me just to pass me because you felt like you needed to win this little interaction with me,
right,
and then slow down. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. But that is the mentality of people. So when they get in this bidding thing, maybe at the beginning they think, like you said, Joe, I'm going to get this at a cheaper price. But then it gets to the point where you're like, well, I'm not going to let this MFer get it. I'm going to win this thing. Like, that's the
how
mentality.
dare he? So, how dare this other
right.
person try and bid me up? I'm going to.
I've been watching this for 10 days.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not giving up on it now.
Now, that said, I think there is one little area where we can say, like, okay, well, maybe this card is a better quality card compared to maybe some of the other ones. Like, if that's the case, then
going back to the last thing we just talked about.
Right. Give a little leeway there and say, okay, well, this card is a really nice copy of this card, a better copy than I've seen of this card. Then maybe I could see where you bid a little bit more. But in general, you're going to find a way better deal. Like paying more in an auction is a bad idea in general.
All right. Number 4 on the list. Grading ultra modern base cards. And a lot of you are doing it. I don't know if you're the people that are watching us, but there are a lot of people out there, because all you have to do is look at the pop counts on PSA. Just other than the fact that you're going to destroy the planet with all the plastic that you're throwing in the world.
Taking my stick? That's my stick.
I'm saying it in agreement with you.
Okay.
But yeah, you're probably not going to end up coming out ahead if you're grading a lot of base stuff. You're just not. I know why people do it. Well, if I get a 10 on this, I'll be able to sell it for $30, and I only paid $20 to get it graded. So I'll take this $2 card, and now I'll be able to make more money on it. But people kind of forget about the fact that you're relying on that person that's putting a number on it to put the 10 on it every time. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't happen. It only happens about half the time. So yeah, just stop doing it. We don't need every card. A brand new card out of a pack should be a good card. We should all agree that they should all be 9s or 10s. They probably, for the most part, are out of most sets anymore. Stop sending them to have somebody say, oh yeah, that base card you have is a 10 or 9 or an 8 or a 4.
Yeah, I think you undersold it though a little bit with the half of them are probably going to end up being tens because we talked about it on the podcast. Wasn't like some of the ultra modern like hit
60%, something like
70% or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You brought those numbers up, but I'm gonna go to the one of the smartest people I probably know, Ricky Bobby, and quote him.
Oh,
If you're not first, you're last. I guess that was Gary Cole, Ricky Bobby's father, said, if you're not first, you're last. And I think in this case, if you want to grade ultra modern and make money, cool, whatever. That's if that's your jam, fine. But you better be the first one to the market. Because once the market starts getting flooded, you're last at that point, and you're maybe getting your graders feedback. So again, beyond my shtick of the environment grading and all this plastic kind of destroying, the world around us, I'm sorry, but you do not need to grade every single card. Looks just fine in a sleeve and top load. And honestly, if it doesn't get that 10, chances are, if it gets an 8 or a 9, it's going to sell for way less than selling it raw anyway. So there could be a boat in that box, right, EP? Like
yeah,
you
definitely.
could just put that card out and sell it raw at a point. So yeah, base cards do not need to be graded. I would go as far as saying most of the cards that are graded don't need to be graded, but we'll just keep it specific to ultra modern base.
I am 100% guilty of this. During the case project in 2023, SGC was running a great deal where it was like $10 a card. Super good deal. I got the cards back fast. I sold all the cards that I got graded through that entire project, and I actually made a profit off that. So I do see there are moments where that works. You got to be very smart about it. And I agree with you 100%, Joe. Like you don't want to open up every pack of
But you were
cards.
first.
And I was one of the first ones to get them out there. It was a big deal. And I was opening up a case of cards where I think it's a different thing. Where if you're opening up a case of cards, you're going to get more opportunities for cards that should be graded. And also like and the rookie cards were good that year. And a lot of things fell into place to make that be a viable solution. And if I do happen to open a case of the 2025 tops, which I would love to do, unless there's a special deal where I'm getting $10 a card, I won't be doing the grading thing. Maybe I'll grade a couple cards, but I won't be grading as many as I did at that time because the deal with the price was so good, and through SGC I was getting the cards back quickly. So that I can see a path to making this happen, but in general, a random base card, a non-rookie card, just a random base card, getting that graded, which a lot of people do, like do it if you're going to try to sell it, if you think you can make money off of it, but don't collect a random slabbed card of a base card from 2025. That just seems ridiculous.
All right. Our fifth and final thing that we think is dumb are sellers that refuse to sell something at a loss. Now, I'm not saying that they should just sell everything at a loss. Some things you should sell at a profit. That's perfectly fine. But if you had a card that maybe you bought during the boom that is worth you maybe half, if you're lucky, what you paid for it during the boom, holding on to it because you paid X dollars for it just doesn't really work. At some point, you have to let go. You're not going to make profit on every single thing you have. So thinking that you need to price it way above what comps are because you have this into it doesn't work. You're not going to sell it for that. And you're probably going to end up losing more money by waiting longer to sell it. You're going to get to that point where you're like, okay, I've had this card for 10 years now, and now it's worth $1. I have nothing. You either never sell it, you don't prize it in your collection, and you're going to lose money on it if you do sell it. Part of business, part of being in a collectibles business is you will take losses on stuff. That's fine. You want to have more wins if you do losses. If you make profit on 50 things and you take a loss on 2, you're going to end up being okay. You have an opportunity cost that you're giving up by keeping stuff that you paid a lot of money for. Sometimes you just got to cut the cord and you got to sell it at a loss.
The key phrase there was opportunity cost. What could you take that money and put it into to maybe make a profit down the road to kind of curb your loss on that card? You really have to think about that. And I gotta say, not everyone is going to end up like Sam Darnold, right? Not every like if you have a Zach Wilson card, he's probably not going to turn into Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or some of these guys that are resurgent here in the playoffs. Like, it's not going to happen very often. So you just have to admit, I bought this Zach Wilson card when I shouldn't have. I'm going to take a loss on it, and that's fine. Now, the problem is if you bought that Zach Wilson card, and poor Zach Wilson getting a drive-by here for no reason. But if you bought that Zach Wilson card at a high and you held on to it, and then after a year, you're like, oh, I don't think he's the guy, but I can't take a loss on this. And then 2 years, you're like, oh, well, maybe, but I can't take even a bigger loss on it. Now you waited so long, he's ending up in $5 boxes if you're lucky, so take that into perspective. Once you start seeing the trajectory going down a certain path, be proactive about taking less of a loss than you could. Less of a loss to me is almost like a profit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So definitely look at it that way. And this is not just a dealer thing, because you see this in card shows all the time, like vlogs, people going to card shows. This is not just a dealer thing. This is definitely a collector thing too. A collector bought a card and they thought, oh, maybe in a couple years, Zach Wilson's going to be an all-pro. And then he ends up not being an all-pro, and you're kind of stuck with this card if you aren't willing to move on from it.
I mean, that kind of thinking is fine if you're buying cards at pennies on the dollar, right? If you're buying a bunch of $1 Zach Wilson's cards and hoping they turn into $20 cards, it's fine. But I think the perfect example for this, in my opinion, is the CJ Stroud right now. Like, he's the dude who, like, nobody thought that everybody thought he was just going to keep ascending this year, and he clearly was, very, very, very flat. Like, his card values probably went down, but I think a lot of people probably still have their prices set from the rookie of the year a year before. And I feel like that he's the kind of player that, sure, he could become the next Mahomes / Tom Brady, but what are the chances? Like, those guys are once in a generation type players. What are the chances? Like, if you're CJ Stroud overpriced right now, please lower the price and try to sell it. Try to do what you can. That's probably like the perfect example of this, in my opinion.
Ironically, he just beat the other perfect example of
the other guy that he was. Yeah, I was
the other guy that he was.
Stroud is the new
Justin Herbert, right? Right. And that's a good point, EP. When I was talking about Zach Wilson, I was talking about his rookie year card, like buying them in his rookie year. And then now. So, yeah, if you want to prospect on maybe Zach Wilson turning the next Sam Darnold, you could probably get his cards pretty cheap if someone's willing to sell them at a loss, that is.
Right.
Yeah, got to find the person willing to sell them at a loss. Well, there you have it. 5 dumb things we think collectors do. Let us know in the comments what you think, but you better not say get 3 guys together and start a YouTube channel, because if you do, we're going to find you, and you don't want us to find you.
I'm glad you preemptively said that, Mike, because some of our viewers totally would say
I
that.
would have been disappointed if they didn't. Yeah. I fully expect it. But, there you have it. That's all we got this week. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.
See you.